Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the review for section 8.5 through 8.9. Now, it has been a little while since we've seen some of the stuff that we started with in this half a chapter, so I'm going to go ahead and review some of that stuff that we started with and end up where we are now. But along the way, I'm going to go kind of fast. I just want to make sure that I clear up any misunderstanding or catch anything that we're still having troubles with. So, nonetheless, here we go with number one. Number one, we're asked to factor, and what can we take out? Remember, when we factor, we always want to take out everything that we can at first. Well, I can take a 2 out of my numbers, so I'm going to have a 2. Can I take anything out of my letters? Yes, I can take a k out. Remember, when you take it out, we divide it out. So 2k squared divided by 2k, we're just left with a k. And then 6 divided by 2 is a 3. K divided by k is 1, so I'm not going to put that there. So our answer would be 2k times the quantity, k plus 3. Now moving on to 2, when there's 4 terms, again, try to take out anything that you can. If not, then we're going to group these terms like so. I'm going to include that positive there. When we make parentheses, then put a plus in the middle. Looking at this guy, what can you take out of the first set of parentheses? I can take out a 5r. Inside, I'm going to be left with a cursive s minus 5, so it will look different than my 5. Now, what can you take out of here? Since there is no negative, since this is a positive, I'm just going to take out a positive 2, and then I'm going to be left again with a cursive s minus 5 because I divide that 2 out. So now I have 2 the same, correct? So I'm going to write that down, s minus 5 here. And then what do I have outside? I have 5r that I did not use, put that there. I have a plus 2 that I didn't use, and we'll put that in parentheses. Moving on to number 3, here we go. We have 3 terms. When we have 3 terms, again, what can we take out? Well, we can't take out anything. So now we are going to multiply to negative 35, add up to a negative 2. So what multiplies to a negative 35? I know that 7 and 5 multiply to 35, but we're adding up to a negative, and we have to multiply to a negative. So multiplying to a negative tells me that one of these has to be a negative. When I add up to a negative, I know the bigger one has to be negative. So the 7 is going to be negative, so it's going to be n minus 7 times n plus 5. 4, again, 3 terms. Can we take anything out? Yes, you can. They're all even, so I'm going to take out a 2. Therefore, I'm going to be left with, inside the parentheses, 2x squared plus 17x plus 35. Now, we're going to go ahead and factor this. Now, with this 2 in front of your x squared, what we have to do is take the 2 times the last guy, which is 35, to get 70. Now we want factors of 70 that add up to 17. Well, that's going to be 7 and 10. 7 and 10 multiply, always check first multiplication, 7 and 10 multiply to 70, add up to 17. So let's go ahead and break that down. When we break that down, how we factor, we pull this 2x down here, and 2x in that parenthesis. Bring the 7 plus 7 plus 10, also bring this 2 that we did not use yet down. Now, we brought one too many 2's down. We have to divide out a 2. Can you divide out a 2 evenly there? No, but you can here. So now, once I divide that 2 out, you have to divide that 2 out by everything. So it's going to be x plus 5, and then bring down what you did not use. Bring down this 2, and then the 2x plus 7. So our factored answer is right here. Number 5, the first thing we have to look for. What can we take out of both of our answers, or both of our terms? I can take out a 5, so I put my 5 here. What else can I take out? I can take out an x squared. Now what's going to go into the parentheses? 5x to the 4th divided by 5x squared is x squared minus, and then 45x squared divided by 5x squared is 9. Can I factor this? Can I keep going with this? What multiplies times itself to give me x squared? That's going to be x, so I put that in the front of both parentheses. What times itself is going to give me 9? That's 3. Is there a middle term? There is no middle term, so this is going to be plus, this is going to be minus, bring down the 5x squared, answer right there. Number 6, same thing, we're factoring. What can we take out? I know I can take a 6 out of both of my numbers, so I put my 6 right there. And I can also take out some letters, and that is k squared. What's going to be left is a h to the 4th minus 9k squared. Can I keep going? Let's try and factor this some more. What times itself will give me h to the 4th? That's h squared and h squared. So I put that in the front of both parentheses. What times itself is going to give me a 9? Well, that's going to be a 3. Put that in the back. How about k squared? Another k and another k. No middle term, so I go plus, minus. Bring down my 6k squared. Anything else I can factor here? Looking at this guy, is there anything times itself that will give me 3? There is not, so I am done. Answer there. Number 7, again, back to the 4 terms. Anything that I can take out immediately? No, there is not. So I'm going to group this, and I'm going to include that negative sign with that 100, put a plus right in the middle. This first parenthesis, or this first set of parentheses, what can I take out? I can take out an r squared. I'll be left with an r minus 5. The next set of parentheses, what can I take out? I have 2 zeros that I can take out, and since this first term is negative, I'm going to take out a negative 100. I'm going to be left with an r. Now, 500 divided by a negative 100 is going to be a minus 5. Here, we have the exact same thing. So where does it go? We write it down. We're pulling it out and putting those guys right here. We're going to be left with now an r squared minus 100. Can we keep going with this guy in the blue? Well, what times itself will give me r squared? That's going to be an r and an r. What times itself will give me 100? That is 10 and 10. Plus and a minus because there is no middle term. It adds up to 0. And then finally bring the r minus 5 down because you did not touch it. Answer right there. Number 8. Again, always keep asking yourself when you factor, please, what can you take out? Well, I can take out right away, immediately, I can take out a 3 because 12 and 3 are both divisible by 3. I can also attach a p. So now I'm going to be left with 4p squared minus 1. Can we factor what's inside the parentheses still? Well, what multiplies times itself to 4? That's going to be a 2, and I'm going to attach a p because it's p squared. What multiplies times itself to 1? That's negative 1 and 1. And this has to be positive because it adds up to 0. Bring the 3p down because we didn't use it. Answer right there. 9. Now we are asked to solve. When we solve these with two variables, we want to get everything to the same side, right? So we want this side to be 0. We're trying to get this side equaling 0. So I'm going to subtract the 14 over to get r squared minus 14r equals 0. Now it's important to include that 0. We are only factoring this right here, what's inside the red parentheses. So let's factor that. We pull out an r, we'll be left with an r minus 14 equals 0. Now when we are solving, we're actually going to have equals in our answer. That's very important. When we solve, we have equals in our answer. Here r equals 0 and r minus 14 equals 0. Solve, we have one answer there. Here we have to add the 14 over, so r equals 14 right there. So our two answers, r is 14 and r is 0 for number 10. Now we have, again, two variables. Let's get this 16h over to the other side. How do we do that? We subtract it. And when we do subtract it, put it right behind this squared term. This is an h, so we want it in descending order. So then it's plus 48 equals 0. Now we want to factor right here. What multiplies to 48 adds up to a negative 16? Well, 48, multiples of 48 are 4 and 12. When you add them together, there'll be 16. But it's a negative 16, so what kind of number should they be? Let's make them both negative, because negative times negative is a positive. They will add up to a negative 16. So we throw them in. It's going to be h minus 4 and h minus 12. That equals 0. Set both factors equal to 0. H minus 4 equals 0. H minus 12 equals 0. Here we add the 4 over. H equals 4. Answer 1. Add the 12 over. H equals 12. Answer 2. 2 more here, guys. Hang in there. 11. Now again, it equals a number over here with 2 variables. What can we do? Well, I'm going to say a little trick here. Because this is a negative 2x squared, I'm going to add actually this guy over here and this guy over here to get a 0 equals a positive 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. Right? I moved them to this side. Now, can we factor what's in the red? How do we factor what's in the red? Can we take anything out? We cannot. So I'm going to take the 2 times the 15 to get a positive 30. Now we want multiples of a positive 30 that add up to a negative 13. That's going to be negative 3, negative 10, multiplied together, they are 30, but when you add them up, it's going to be negative 13. So we bring down that 2x, we split it up and bring it down, the 2x. Then we attach negative 3 right behind there, negative 10 behind there, still equaling 0. Here we have too many 2's, so I need to take a 2 out. Can't take a 2 out evenly there, but I can here, so I'm going to divide out a 2. I'm going to be left with x minus 5. Bring down everything else that I did not use. Here I have 2x minus 3 equals 0. So now set everything equal to 0. 0 equals 2x minus 3. 0 equals a x minus 5. Here we add the 3 over, so 3 equals 2x. Divide by 2, so 3 halves equals x. Add the 5 over here on the other side, x equals 5. So we have 2 answers, one here and one right here. Now with number 12, finally we made it. Now there's only one variable that is squared. There's only one variable that I'm going to show you the little trick that we learned this section. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 because I want to get that a squared all by itself. So then I get a squared equals a 9 over 256. Now how do you get that a all by itself? We have to square root a square, so a square root both sides to get a equals 3 over 16. Now please remember, when you square root something, you have a positive and a negative answer, because negative 3/16 times negative 3/16 is a positive 9/256, and the same thing with positives, so we have two answers, a equals 3/16 and a negative 3/16. And that does it for our review. Good day.